Hello and welcome back to the Perth to Paisley podcast, episode number 185. Hope you all had a good Christmas and are looking forward to the new year. Since we've been away, Hearts have played 4 games. We've actually won one, drawn two, and lost one of them. So you'd think on paper, everything's going fine. There's no problems at all. But no, it's been an unmitigated disaster. To discuss everything that's happened since we've been away, I, as ever, am Daniel McIver, joined by a horse, Adam Kennedy. Adam, how are you?
A horse and great and very frustrated Adam Kennedy.
Yeah.
All right. No better than all right. We are I hate myself. Do you know that? Like I told myself, if we do not beat Petro Cub and St Johnstone, you will not hear from me. I will not be on this podcast. And we've won 1-4, and here I am. Like, what an absolute wanker.
We've only lost 1 in 4, though, so come on. Positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. I
Merry
probably should have
Christmas.
said that first and foremost to both you and the listeners. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new year because I really want to leave a lot of 2024 behind. Yeah, for personal, professional, and part Midlothian footballing reasons. It's not been the best year. So yeah, let's just get through this shit and let's get to January and sign some players and hopefully get rid of some utter dead wood.
Yeah, it's going to be some laugh. So, this is going to be in a totally different format to normal. Normally, this podcast, we run through the games we've missed, we go kind of beat by beat and discuss them as they happen. Now,
All
obviously,
you need to
though,
know is we literally blew the chance to reach European knockout football for the first time in our lives because we drew with some Moldovan farmers who were absolutely terrible. It's just a shame that we are somehow equally as bad. We then bounced back with the only team that we can beat home and away in the league, which is St Johnstone. Thank God for them, because otherwise we'd basically be already down. We lost Hibs at Tynecastle for the first time in 5 years, and the first time at all since April 2023, thanks to some absolutely diabolical defending and barely laying a glove on a horrendous Hibs backline and dreadful goalkeeper. And then today, as we record, we pissed away a 2-goal lead within 90 seconds to relegation rivals Ross County to draw to each in Dingwall. Therefore, blowing the chance to hit the dizzy heights of 10th and just allowing the Staggies to stay in front of us in the league table. This is an
thank you and
embarrassment.
good night. That's
See you
it.
later.
We'll
See you
see
in
you
the
in
new
the new
year.
year. Aye.
Sorry, mate, but
No, you're,
that's
I mean, you summed it up perfectly.
thanks, thanks.
Aye.
I suspect I'm going to get a lot angrier than that, but
So, yeah.
just laying my cards out on the table straight away, I'm not happy.
We're not going to run through all 4 games. You've all heard them. You've all seen them. The Petro Cup game feels like it was both last week and 10 years ago. And just, it would be boring and too time consuming to go through everything in detail. So we're going to be speaking in generalities. And the first generality is, what the fuck is going on? Basically, that's where I'm starting with this because I, the the last episode of this podcast, I was sat going, right, if we don't beat St Johnstone, then I'm worried. We beat St Johnstone. And I was like, and we played really
Just
well. We played really well. We were just in terms of the physical scoreline, but we were very dominant.
yeah.
Like, played very well. I was sat with my cousin who was like, who isn't a Hearts fan and was like, what are you guys complaining about? You're going to be absolutely fine. You've clearly got a style. You've clearly got a system. It's all going fine for you. Then we've had the last 2 games. As you say, we are recording this literally 2 hours after the Ross County game finished. We didn't go because we're not mental. And fair play to everybody who
Feel for
did,
anybody
because
that did, because
Jesus, aye.
they're clearly off their rocker. And they
Yeah,
need help. Like, I think we should just link down like Samaritans and all these other helplines that people get the sufficient help that they need. Because this is an addiction. Like, what are you doing? There's
yeah.
so much more that you could do with your Sunday. And yes, I am well aware that Ross County is the best away day in the league. And yes, it's got, the Mallard just there off the train. The real smart ones are the ones that went up for the trip but stayed in the Mallard and patched the game off. They're the real MVPs. Anybody that actually went to go and watch that would have been pleasantly surprised for a good chunk of it, and then bitterly disappointed at the end of it.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
like Hearts, the supporters are getting taken for an absolute ride. The commentator said, I think it was Laurie and Rob,
yeah.
said that it was 1,200 seemingly there,
Yeah. Yeah. 1200.
and then a club official confirms that it's 1,600. So
Oh,
we're talking somewhere between 1 and 2,000 people
yeah.
that have gone up between Christmas and New Year, one of the most financially hard times of the year, to go and cheer on a Hearts team that have been underperforming so far in the league against a relegation rival, get behind the team, try and pull ourselves up from this relegation dogfight that we're in, and then we go and piss the points away in the last couple of minutes.
So the first, I don't know if it's the first question I have for you, but this is very much just going to be discussion, the episode of what's going on. So we have we have the set of four results we've had since we've been away. You, if we do go back to Europe for a brief second, you were very much the person who was like, it's a win-win either way.
Yeah.
Either we progress and it's amazing, obviously, or we don't and it's a distraction that we now don't have.
Still stand by that.
Since the three games that we've had, we haven't really had that effect of not playing all the
Weekend to
time.
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. From what you've seen, though, do you feel like that is the trajectory we're on? That it is going to be a net positive for the squad from now until the end of May?
Dep- Depends because I don't see what goes on day to day, but you'd like
Yeah,
to think that they're trying their absolute best to get out of this scenario. So we've got additional time therefore to go weekend to weekend, and I it has to be seen as a positive. Else, what are they actually doing in training?
yeah,
Do you know
that's a
what I mean?
very good way of putting it.
Like, basically, how am I best putting this? Basically, we've been given extra time to aid us in our quest to pull away from the bottom two positions. It's up to us whether what we want to do with that time. We can use it to our advantage, focus on opposition, focus on what we want to do ourselves, become more accustomed to a style of play, whatever. Or we could piss away that time and we get to April, May, absolutely shitting ourselves at the prospect of a third relegation in just over a decade. It's up to the players what they want to do. I know what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a genuine improvement on the training ground and us go to places, dominate teams, win games of football, be looking up the way, ascend up the league table rather than be looking over our shoulder at the trapdoor going, oh my God, what the hell's happening here? We actually could be suckered into this here.
So the last three domestic games have been really interesting for me because I mean it helps the discussion that it's we've played three, won one, drawn one, lost one. Like
Good
that's
variety.
interesting considering the squad and the kind of the general doom and gloom around the place is that we've lost all three, not scored a goal, been like got beat 5-0 in each game. But if you looked at it again from a neutral perspective, they'd go, well, that's not really relegation results. That's like bad results, but not disastrous. However, it's more about when you actually watch the games. And it's like
Yeah.
for example, we're going to focus a lot probably on today's game, yesterday, as you listen to this, because it's like it perfectly summed up this Hearts team, I felt, because for 96 minutes, I think it was our best domestic performance of the season.
Uh, I mean, domestically, what have we got?
Rangers at home was one of them, but Rangers have been
I,
terrible as
I
well.
thought Aberdeen. I thought we were unfortunate to come away with
Yeah,
nothing.
that's fair.
I think we obviously battered St Mirren at Tynecastle. The recent win over Dundee as well was very
Yeah.
convincing. That was pretty
Maybe the
straightforward.
best domestic away win. Away performance, sorry.
Yeah, I would say Aberdeen's the only one that could potentially rival it, where
Yeah.
you felt as though we were genuinely unlucky not to take anything.
But
But
then,
yes, very much so. We were at it from the get-go, I think, today.
yeah, just obviously
And,
the
and,
early
and do,
goal
you- do
really
you know what the funny
helps.
thing is, McIver? Sorry to cut you off, but the funny thing is, a lot of us looked at that team and were baffled by some of the
Yeah,
selections.
yeah,
It was like Liam Boyce in the 10, George Grant, I think, got a start
yeah.
today. Um, and
Oyegoki's playing centre half.
Ugoki's playing centre half, but I'll be honest, he's done a total 180 on me. He looks a far more competent centre half than he does a right back, as far as I'm
Fully
concerned.
agreed.
Um, but in terms of our offensive options, we've basically it's weird because we've been trying to look for a solution and trying to vary things up from kind of that continuity in selection. We get that, albeit with players that I might not want, you might not want, some of our listeners might not want. But at least we're then trying something different. It works to a point, but all I can think about is pre-match the selections were being slewed. So it's
Yeah,
like I I think the situation that we're in there is there's no win here.
yeah,
Like no, we do something different and we get slaughtered for it regardless of if it pans out well or not. Now I like the manager. I do. I do still think he needs time. I think he needs to bring a player or two in of his own. But by the same score, today is probably the first time where I've looked at it and gone, why have you meddled with something that didn't necessarily need meddled with? Substitutions, in-game management, miles off it today.
right. Let's talk about that because all I was going to add to that
Sorry,
point was
I'm
that
worried that I'm leading you down different
no, you.
avenues here.
This is what this episode is. This episode is just whatever comes to mind. We speak about it. In 2025, we'll be back to our structure. This is the end of the
Back to the
year.
same old
We're just
nonsense.
going for it. There's no quiz today, by the way. You're not getting a quiz or anything. It's just a ramble.
Nobody's got
So
time for quizzes today. This is sheer anger and
yeah,
frustration.
this is a
I've got enough of
sudden
that without
meeting.
getting the who am I wrong or getting the wrong 50-50 answer.
That's fair. So all I was going to say was today's a perfect example of this Hearts team where it's like they can play very well if they want to, but then there is a fragility to this side that seems inevitable in almost every game we play.
I also feel like it's desire and application up to a point, and then maybe kind of getting ahead of themselves, thinking that the game's won.
Maybe,
Maybe.
but as you said, you spoke about Critchley there. In the last few days, and I know the context of the last few days is that we lost a derby and we've just thrown away 2 points in a big relegation 6 pointer in the last 90 seconds. So there's that context where there's kind of nowhere else to go in terms of anger from supporters. Like it's the worst two things that could happen. You lose at home in a derby and you bottle a game right at the very end. But I can't remember a time this season that I've seen so much anger aimed at Critchley and such a. Now, listen, social media is a complete echo chamber. I'm not even on it anymore, but I've kind of like dipped my toes in the last couple of days to just look through the window of it, being like, I won't partake in it, but I'll see what everybody's saying. It's very much an echo chamber. You kind of, I feel like that was most shown at the St Johnstone game, where like it felt like the majority of the stadium was still just behind the team and behind the manager, whereas in the build up to it, it was like, this is it. If Critchley doesn't win, then he's really got talking points. But the last 4 days, there's been a lot of talk about Critchley, about if he's the right person for us, and specifically, as you said, game management and substitutions. I would say the Hibs game is the one and only time I've looked at Critchley's team selection, but more tactics, and went, you've set this up totally wrong. You've got this wrong. You saw Hibs put three in the middle of the park. We had two, we're outnumbered, and they just ran the game as a result of that. And I was looking at this going, this is because of setup. This is tactical and this isn't to do with endeavour and players not turning up. It's like, no, even if we turned up, I don't think we would have been doing well. But generally, I don't know. You made a good point there where you were like, whatever he does, he's going to get slewed because there'll be a section of the support who's annoyed at any decision he makes, regardless of what it is. And there's other sections of support that will be like, No, you were doing fine. Why are you now changing it? So, like, actually, the first question I'll say is, do you agree that he got it wrong against Hibs, or do you think it was a more Endeavour players turning up that was the bigger contributor?
I've been going to Tynecastle for 22 years, and I can confidently say, hand on heart, that I do not remember Hibs battering us to the extent that they did in that first half in a derby at
Oh, in the first
Tynecastle.
half, yeah, that's absolutely fair. Yeah,
It's my
yeah, that's
it's my
fair.
general feeling. So yeah, we can criticise the setup, but at the same point, I'm looking through the team here. I mean, it's been much of a muchness for weeks, really. Gordon in goal, back for the Penrice rolls, Halkett, Oyugoke, Devlin and Bringham is sitting, Spittle on the left, Drama on the right, Shankland supporting Wilson. What my my general worry about Neil Critchley and his tenure is it seems to me that there's two games against the same opponent where he's not really recovered from as of yet. The first of which came at Tynecastle in a game that we took the lead but lost 2-1 to Kilmarnock. And the second is, again, like I say, against Killie, down at Rugby Park, where there's a numerical advantage that we have for 80 plus minutes and we still lose the game 1-0. These Killie games seem very much like sliding door matches where I think a large chunk of the fans have then made their mind up on Neil Critchley. The Hibs game was frustrating, but again, we went into half time somehow at level pegging.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking it's there for us. This is not a good don't get me wrong, it's certainly not a decent Hearts team, but it's not a vintage Hibs team either. So I didn't see any reason as to why if we get that goal back before half time, we can't go on, make a couple changes, introduce a player or two, and try and go and win the game. So I yeah, like the setup was maybe poor, but we were in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's
I know what you
really
mean.
it's really tough to explain it and tricky to put your finger on
Did you say though you
why
were
it's
only
going
we were
wrong.
only in the game because of a Hibs mistake? It wasn't
But
actually
they
anything
only
to do
took the
with
lead
us.
because of a Hearts
That's
mistake.
fair. That is very fair. Yeah,
So
totally.
do you know what? Like, yeah, I say they dominated the game, but like I don't know. I think to me the derby could be summed up by the wide areas.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's fair.
the Cadden brothers aren't the best technically, but they do provide a threat down the flanks. We've
Yeah,
got nothing down the flanks. We've got James Penrice, who likes to overlap and looks like probably one of our most threatening players from left back. On the other side, we've got either Daniel Oyugoke, who I'm not convinced is a right back, or Adam Forrester, who's only just enjoying his breakout season. And then further forward from that, we've got Blair Spittle, who likes to operate centrally, because he and Penrice, sorry, that's all they ever do. It's
yeah.
just Spittle cuts inside, looks for Penrice on the overlap. It's like I could watch the same game countless times in my head because that's all we ever do. And Musa Drama's on the right hand side. He's a striker. He's not even a winger. And again, we did that with Vargas last season. Like, have we not learned anything from last season at all?
Yeah, so I would like to say, by the way, I'm not someone who's advocating for Critchley to be sacked right now. I think there
I
is
don't think I am either.
no, no,
But
no. You definitely didn't come across as that. I was worried I came across as that when I was saying that point. But
but equally, the manager is not faultless here.
yeah, so that's what I was going to say. The last two games, especially, I feel like there is criticism aimed at him for, as I say, personally, I just think the setup was all wrong against Hibs. And then today, I know it's easy to say this because of what happened, but I do think it was very strange to make such changes to a defence that was doing so well.
100% agree.
And I don't even mean that in the sense of who he brought on. I don't have an issue with who he brought on. I just mean like it was working. Why change it? Like you suddenly move it, as you say. I
With
agree with
both,
you fully. By the way,
I've got issues with both. But
I
carry
agree
on.
with you fully that I think Oyugoke. does look way more comfortable as a centre
Far more
half.
composed at centre half.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that right now he's our best centre half.
Yeah, I
He's been playing
know.
right back for the vast duration of the season.
It's a fair point. That,
What are we
that,
doing
that
here?
actually might be interesting. I haven't thought of that until you just said that now. Maybe the plan is to have Oyegoke as a centre half and we bring in another right back instead of bringing in a centre half and having Oyegoke be an option at right back.
Which I don't necessarily mind. Um, but then it's like we've cut ties with Atkinson, Lembikisa. Like we've been searching for the answer
Sibbick.
for right back Civic for a good few, basically since Michael Smith went
I'd
down
have
to
Michael
Yeovil.
Smith back now.
We've been looking for a right back. So this, like, we're now feeling the effects of horrendous recruitment for the past few years, really.
So there we go. That's the
There's
sentence.
another
So
segue here.
this is my main point though. So you mentioned that Kilmarnock game away. For me, that Kilmarnock game at Rugby Park is like it would be the movie poster for the last 2 years of recruitment, where yes, I agree, Critchley can come into criticism. Some people would argue should come into loads of criticism, but I would say that Kilmarnock game, and my dad made this point, and I saw somebody else make this point. It was like that Killy game, the team like defaulted back into what they've done under Naismith, under Nielsen, and just start doing the horseshoe passing around the back without moving and not penetrating lines. And it's like, that's not a managerial thing. There can't
No,
be the coincidence that we've
I
brought
agree
in
with that.
three managers on the bounce, all with different styles, all with different formations, and coincidentally, all the players just default to the same thing. That's an issue with this squad. And you said there, a failing of our recruitment. It is laid bare how terrible this squad is, and it needs ripped out. I don't think, and this might be a bold statement, I don't think, except for James Penrice, Blair Spittle, and Cammy Devlin, a single player could make an argument that they shouldn't be sold in the summer.
Is that what we're going to do? The keep
No, we're
start?
doing that in the first episode of next year.
Right.
That's
Okay. All right.
2025.
Okay.
But now listen, in that,
Who are your three there? Sorry, Penrice,
Penrice,
Devlin.
Devlin, Spittle. Because see if anybody now is criticising Cammy Devlin, oh my god, I don't know what to do at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I include in that, because obviously you can't just get rid of 19 players. There's a lot of players in
We'll
there
give it our
that,
best, though.
yeah, there's a lot of players in there that I like. There's a lot of players in there who I think are decent footballers. But there's nobody that's been so good that you couldn't get rid of them, apart from those three, in my opinion. This season, I mean. I don't mean taking into consideration wider things. I mean, if you were just like, if Neil Critchley on New Year's Day went, right, I'm keeping everybody that's been like objectively good this season, it would be those three left in the dressing room and nobody else.
And we, James Wilson, just peering through, being
Yeah,
like,
yeah, obviously,
Gaffer, can I be involved? Yeah.
obviously, yeah. And maybe it's not his fault. He's just too similar. Boateng, probably. Boateng hasn't done anything wrong.
Funny, I did think about Boateng, but he's one that divides a lot of opinion on socials. For every Malachi Boateng's brilliant that I see on social media, there's somebody going, why the hell have we signed this guy?
I think the problem for Boateng is just that he's such a similar player to what we already have. So people go, what's the point of them? Whereas I'm like, well, I quite like that we've got another player who's quite solid in that position. I just wish we had other players who are different.
I also think absence makes the heart grow fonder. Like, Frankie Kent looks a massive miss considering how good he was last season. Callum Neuenhoff, the same.
Well,
Like,
Neuenhoff is the interesting one because obviously I wasn't including Neuenhoff there because he's not played.
well,
Neuenhoff
exactly.
will be like a new signing in the
Exactly.
latter half of the
But
season.
McIver, we've been hearing he's been weeks away for months.
Yeah, but this is this.
When is he gonna get
But this
on the
is this
pitch
thing.
and kick a
So
ball?
we saw it. I think it was Joel Sked in the Heart Standard. Like the master plan.
I will not. I'm fully of the belief that Callum Neuenhoff is down under. The minute that I see him in a matchday squad will be the only confirmation I need that yes, he is fit and available to play. You could talk about he's back in X number of weeks, he's been in training. It could be up the Orium ordering fucking a fried breakfast every morning. I don't care. The minute that I see that he's in a match day squad will be the only time that I go, brilliant, Callum Newhoff is officially back. Because I've had it up to here with, oh, he's out for this mount. Oh, he's had an issue. He's making progress. No, he's
No, but
back when he's
wait.
back. Simple as.
But this is the thing. By all accounts, and what Critchley said is he could be back right now, but they're not putting him in because the plan is, and it's a risk. I think it's a calculated risk, and if it pays off, it will work really well. Critchley was basically a couple of weeks ago like, if we had to, Neuenhoff would be playing right now. But because he's basically played,
the situation is pretty desperate right now.
But because he's not played in 10 months, the risk is that we go, okay, Callum, we now need you back. Come on, mate. And he basically breaks down.
100% be safe for breaking into. Like,
So,
you could see that a mile off.
By all accounts, he's being...
And he'll get beat. He'll get overrun by a school teacher and a plumber, and we'll crash out the cup.
By all accounts, he's being kind of getting as fit as you can without playing games, so that when he comes back, he's just available for the rest of the season, because it's like, well, he's basically done a pre-season and now he's getting match fitness. The problem with that is as you say, we need him right now. So if it's like, right, because I think the date was like halfway through January, so roughly the Brecon game, right? So if it's like, right, we're waiting until then, we're just taking the hit on the fact that he's not there, but from the moment he comes back halfway through January until the end of the season, he will be involved in selections every single week. Then I'm like, okay, I understand why you've done that. The worry is if we've waited all this extra time, he plays 5 games, then gets a niggle and is out for another 2 months. It's like, so that was pointless. I would have just rather had a guy who's already, well, clearly he was about to get hurt anyway, so I would have rather had him when we needed a creative player in the middle of the park.
Yeah, the squad definitely does need surgery, doesn't
it? It's Man United. That's where we are, right? Where it's like,
it's not that bad. Trust me.
True. Fair play. Yeah, Man United are worse, but it's that same context where it's like they can't just keep going. Well, we'll just replace the manager. It's fine. And it's the same squad that has like thrown multiple managers in the bus. You need to just take the hit and go, right, let's rip this out.
I can't believe that I'm about to go down this avenue, but I've just thought about it just as we were talking about creativity and kind of midfield players. Jan Danda so far has not lived up to the hype.
That is putting it mildly.
However, I still think on a free transfer from a divisional rival, it does make sense. He is not a winger. In the same way that Musa Drama is not a winger. In the same way that Kenneth Vargas is not a winger. I think the wide areas are perhaps the number one area that we need to recruit in January and arguably the summer. Because there is literally Alan Forrest and nobody else.
I wouldn't play Alan Forrest ever again, by the way.
Neither would I after that Petro Club
performance. The single worst 45 minutes I've ever seen from a Hearts player.
Right. So we've got a guy that we don't even want, and he's the only one that's available for selection in arguably one of the key areas of the park.
Oda's alive. Oda was in the squad today.
Yeah. And again, there's another one that's been like, oh, he's been back training, or yeah, making good progress.
Apparently he was fit the last 2 weeks.
If Yutaro Oda is the answer to save our issues from relegation, then we are in deeper doo-doo than I think.
Imagine if he did, though. Imagine if he came back.
And the translators like buzzing.
And it was a duo of on one wing Alan Forrest, one wing Yutaro Oda, and James Wilson up top. And that is what steers Hearts clear of relegation. It would be the best moment of my life.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You could then get away with rotating a Spittle and Jan Danda centrally because we'd have an abundance of options on the flanks, people that actually hug the touchline, people that actually put a cross into the box, rather than going back to the fucking fullback or the centre half. they could actually ask questions of central defenders and our centre forwards. That would be a novelty.
I'm
So
not
I
being funny, right?
go
I'd
on.
sell Yandanda in January. I think he's been one of the worst signings I've ever seen us make. In terms of expectation, knowing the league,
I wanted to sign it, so
yeah,
I can't knock it.
I think I can't believe how bad he's been. And it's not possible because you can't sign a guy in June and then sell him in January. It's not possible, obviously. And I'm not willing to say that he's never going to recover and be good. But he's one of the worst players I've ever seen for us. I genuinely
But
think that.
but he's not had a fair crack of the whip in a position that is his, in my opinion.
I think he now has because I think he can play wide.
I
He's
just
just bad
no,
at
he
it.
can. No, he can.
I
Because
think
all he
he's
does,
also terrible in the 10, though.
all he does is turn back. I watched the
No,
Kilmarnock
no, he
game.
doesn't.
All he
He
did,
plays stupid lofted balls in that do
exactly,
nothing.
is cuts in
Yeah,
onto his right foot and lobs a ball. That's
yeah, they're
not.
the worst crosses you've ever seen
But
in
that,
your life.
so why not try something different and fucking mix it up? Play
Because
a
I
little
feel
bit
like
more
he has played.
centrally.
How? I mean, I'd need to check. Maybe I'm being harsh that he's had a fair crack in his natural position. How many games would you say he's played in number 10?
One, two? I don't
All
know.
right, fair enough then. If that is the reality,
To me, I look at it and think, I'm thinking Rangers, he was out on the right-hand side, if I remember correctly.
I think so, I.
Various other times he's come off the bench, he's ended up on the left because all I see him do is cut onto his right foot and, as you say, just lazily punt balls into the
Yeah.
box that are
My issue with
nowhere, that miss
Danda,
everybody.
my issue with Danda is kind of symptomatic of the whole squad. Is that I just feel like when the going gets tough, as it has been all season,
It's
he's
desire and
one.
application.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
hides. Whereas, like for example, the substitute in the derby that kind of defined it was Spittle coming off for Danda. I would just never take Spittle off, regardless of how he's playing, because he's
He's
one of
done
the
in though.
players.
He looks stunning.
True, yeah, out with like fitness concerns, but from like a
He's one that'll
tactical,
feel the full benefits week to week.
yeah, definitely agreed. But like tactically, Spittle can be having a 2 out of 10, and in the 90th minute, I'll demand the ball still and be like, give it to me. I don't care that I've been shit for 90 minutes. I might do something special. Whereas Danda feels like somebody that I feel like a lot of players are like this in the current
It's
situation
the
where they
last
go,
roll of the dice.
I don't want the ball. I don't want to be responsible. And it's like, we don't need
Again,
that.
I just think that's because of the position that he's put on in.
Maybe I might, yeah,
I don't.
absolutely. And as I
I think
say, I'm not
go on.
willing to just completely write him off. But right now, he has been, for me, the worst signing we've made because I had such hype and expectation for him.
Well, I don't know. It's mental, isn't it? Like the summer just there. The ones that I expected would be okay have been sensational,
Yeah,
and the ones that
totally
I've had
agreed.
high hopes for have been rotten.
Yep.
I mean, this boy Salazar was meant to be built up as the next Roberto Carlos. He's had a disaster at Fir Park, and I genuinely think that his biggest contribution since was dancing and singing on the bench today.
I heard about that. I heard they was dancing the James Penrice song. But right, I've got a question for you because
Yeah,
you said it
dancing
there.
to the James Penrice song, who's taking his
Is
position
it
on the
position?
park.
Yeah, I never even thought of that. So as this releases in 48 hours, the January transfer window opens. Today,
Hallelujah.
Critchley said in his post-match comment that he wants to get stuff done early. And when asked, do you think you'll have anything done by the Motherwell game? He went, hopefully. So it's like, we are not fucking about. Now, if you listen to rumours and innuendo and
That's one thing I'll give our board and owner credit for. They have backed their managers to the hilt. Say what you like.
it's just
They're
been
really,
badly backed.
the purse strings are always open. It's just the numpties that it's like an excited Augustus Gloop in
Yeah,
sweet shop.
exactly. Aye.
He's literally picking
Yeah.
up every single chocolate bar and hoping that he finds the one that he wants.
Well, this is the thing, because Belgian chocolate would have been found in Willy Wonka's
Very
chocolate
nice.
factory. And
Very nice.
if you look at what happened with USG when Bloom first took over, apparently a lot of the signings they made very early on were all Belgian guys who, like, their belief was knew the league, knew the kind of country's style of football, had grown up around it. Because we're hearing all these rumours about Jamie McCart,
Oh, it's silly seasons in full flow.
Harry Milne, Ryan Jack, all these
Danny
players
Armstrong.
that Danny Armstrong, all these players that, on the face of it, sound like just signings we'd make without Jamestown. Now, that is
Ones
my,
that are right under our noses and could be
yeah,
identified by your average punter that goes
yeah.
to Scottish football games rather than some bloke that's paid handsomely to sit in the director's box and tuck into his prawn sandwich.
That worries me if that is the case, that we're not listening to Jamestown and we're just going, no, wait until summer, we'll fix this in January. That worries me. But
There is no way that this board can truly neglect that.
I
No
hope
way.
not. I hope what the reality is that Jamestown are doing what they did with USG and going, right, in the short term, we will just identify Scottish players who at the very least know the league slash have performed well in the league. Now, I don't think Jamie McCart fits the performed well in the league, but he was part
I
of that
don't
St
know.
Johnstone team that won the
Yeah.
double, right?
I
So
was
it's
going to
like
say, I think that's quite
he's won
harsh.
he's won a
Yeah,
double.
it's one thing.
He's won a double. He's not done well down south, but who gives a shit if he comes up here and does well? Obviously, we've not actually signed him. I cannot remember how to pronounce this boy for USG's name.
Uh,
Elton
Kabangu?
Kabanga. It's
Bango?
something like that. He
I,
looks good. He looks all right, and he is very
I'm
much
not.
Jamestown.
I'm not falling into this YouTube compilation trap. I thought Donis Avdiy would come in and be
I've not seen any
unbelievable.
compilations of him. I've just looked at straight
I've
up
seen it. I've
data.
seen. I've seen a compilation, and he looks decent. But
Right.
again, I can't take this. I'm not being tricked like I was with the Kosovo Taka, thinking, "Oh my God, this boy's unbelievable. Yeah, we're safe. Job done." I
But
I think the sorry mate, but the McCart rumor has only come about because Kai Rolls is essentially off.
yeah, so Rose is apparently going to Japan for a couple of million. And
If we get a couple of million for Kai Rolls,
I've
I will
seen
join him on that flight to Japan.
the numbers I've seen are between 1.9 and 2.3. That's what I've like heard for
Bloody
stuff.
hell.
We might end up getting £2. I don't know. But if we do get
If
a
we
lot of
if we
money,
get a
it's the
couple of million,
advantage of
oh,
signing players who are internationals to long-term deals.
then we
Right?
are just chucking it about like it's a strip club. We'll be
Right?
making it rain.
That could end up not being true, but as you say, it very much does look like Rolls is away to Japan.
1.92 million.
Yeah. The the McCart situation seems, if you just kind of, it's like everybody's talking about it without talking about it. McCart looks done as well. So that seems very like for like. But putting you on the spot slightly,
Oh God.
how many people do you think we need to get in and in what
Off.
areas? And
Off.
how many do you actually think we will? Now, I would caveat this by saying I won't let you include, or this is maybe a positive thing. It's up to you if you include recalling Lewis Nielsen as a transfer. We
No.
have to recall him. We absolutely have to recall him
Why? Just because
because
of
we're
the
about to
depth.
sell roles, and even though we're getting McCart in, Halkett can't be trusted to be fit. We don't have Kent. We don't have Kingsley. So then we've just got, oh,
I'll
you
name
go
a Halkett in
Kane
a minute.
Forrester.
I'll tell you that for free.
Well, then you have to recall Nielsen because
Okay.
otherwise, then the January window will consist of us signing 5 centre halves. That's it.
God. So wait, so hold on. I can't use a Nielsen
No,
recall as a
I'm
transfer.
saying it's up to you if you think that would count. So if you think the board would go,
Excluding that, I
right,
still think we need another like 5, 6. But you're
I
never going to get that in
agree.
January.
I
You're never
fully
going to get
agree
that.
with that. Yeah, we're not.
So, which makes this like this ambition almost pointless. Put it this way, I've said that the wide areas are key. I think we need at least two there.
Right?
We
Surely we
need.
need a striker, a
I was going to
number
say we
nine.
say we need at least one centre forward, ideally two, and then a bit defensive cover. So really, we're talking like six,
Yeah, I'd agree.
if we're being honest. But again, we're also going to have to ship some of the shite out.
Well, if
And
you listen
and
again to
this
rumour, it's that
this
a bunch of the guys who played the day are going to be away, who performed really well.
I know, which then makes you think, well, why have you thrown that performance in today? What, just to put yourself in the shop window?
Probably.
Fuck off. Like what this it's so annoying. We can't be overhauling an entire squad in January. The predicament we're in because the clubs don't want to come in for players that are towards the bottom of the league.
Yeah,
Players don't want to join a team that's towards the bottom of the league
that's
because
a
what
big
happens if they get
aspect of it.
relegated and
Yeah,
then you're back to square one. Like this is going to like we have made a rip roaring see you next Tuesday of this. Really, if we're being honest, um, we're not like it depends on what you'd realistically be happy with, what you think we can bring in, what we're going to bring in, and trying to justify to
yeah.
yourself why we haven't met your target. Like
If we
we're
ended
fucked.
January, if we ended January with two centre halves, a wide player, and at least a striker, and we managed to ship out a few
Two one
players,
one wouldn't be too bad, but
I'd be like,
needs more than that.
it's satisfact, it's bare minimum. Bare minimum is
Yeah, yeah,
four.
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I
But
think we
but
need bare
but
minimum
let's
of
be
four.
honest, we ain't getting four, are we?
I think we might get four, especially if it's like if the so say
So
all the
what?
names.
Jamie McCart,
Jamie
this
McCart, Elton,
Cabango
Kabang,
fella.
I can't remember.
I
If
don't
we
know them
do
shit.
a deal with Killy and get Danny Armstrong in now instead of on a pre-contract,
Just give them Barry Mackay. Be done
yeah,
with it.
exactly. Aye,
Elton Cabango is his name.
Kabangu, that's it. Sorry. So Elton Kabangu, Jamie McCart. Say we get Danny Armstrong in, we give him 200 grand and Barry Mackay. And it's like on you go. There we go.
Oh, does my man play for the Democratic Republic of Congo like a certain Benny
Oh, I don't
Beningame
know.
does?
I'm not sure. I haven't.
Oh,
I don't know
I
what his
wonder if that's a
nationality is.
little something going on there. Come on, come on.
I I can't remember the last time I've been angry at a player than when Benny got cramp in the derby. Because I was like, we have been, you've not been here for 2 months and you've got cramp 75 minutes in. Honestly, I lost my fucking mind, but that's a wider issue.
No, no. Can I just say I'm very torn on Benny Beningame
He's not
because
fit. He's not
no,
fit. We cannot keep relying on a guy who plays 6 games a season.
no. Even if he is outstanding in said
Yeah,
six, it's
but it's
like
like, I don't care.
I know, I know. I can't be moaning about short termism while simultaneously sticking up for Benny Beningame is
Yeah,
my thing.
yeah,
So,
that's a good
and,
way of putting it.
and if I'm getting rid of Craig Halkett for breakdown issues, then Benny Beningame has to go as well.
Who's missed almost a higher percentage of games of his time for Hearts than Craig Halkett, despite Halkett being here for an extra 2 years. But
Losing
yeah,
result.
yeah. See, that's my stance on it. See, if somebody doesn't want to keep Halkett because they think it's like we need reliability,
Then
I'm
Benny's
like,
got to go as well.
yeah, it's like, and if they're also like that with Benny,
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, I'm not going to
that's
argue with that.
that's fair enough.
It's if they're like, well, I'd keep Benny, but I'd get rid of Halkett. It's like, what?
Yeah, that was me up until recently, very recently, where like you, I was frustrated at the derby thinking, just hang the boots up already or drop down and sign for Elgin. Like, what are we doing here?
Or we have you on a pay-as-you-play deal kind of thing.
The first ever Scottish club to dish out
Yeah,
pay-as-you-play deals. Players
exactly.
literally at the job centre, but playing on for Hearts on a Saturday. Imagine.
Um, so I'm putting you on the spot. Say we get your wins. Right, so there was those three, right? McCart, um,
Cabango on the
Armstrong,
flank.
and
Oh,
Cabango, right?
Armstrong and Cabango.
Right? We recall Lewis Nielsen.
Yeah.
Neuenhoff comes back into the squad. And just theoretically, so that's what I'm saying.
I'd honestly
Theoretically,
love nothing more.
theoretically, we recall Lewis Nielsen.
Have we shipped Barry
Theoretically,
Mackay out as part of the Armstrong deal?
sure. Let's just live in this fantasy land, right? Let's just do this.
Derek McInnes isn't taking Barry Mackay on
No,
the
he's
day back
not.
at the John.
I've never heard a less Derek McInnes player in my life than
Oh,
Barry
100%.
McInnes.
I even thought the same about Stephen Robinson, the fact that he's seemingly off to St Mirren. I'm like, Stephen
Yeah,
Robinson would be one of the ones that would moan about his budget as if he's going to spunk some of that on Barry
yeah.
Mackay.
I
Like,
would
what are we
hate the lack
talking
of
about?
endeavour and like tracking
Exactly.
back and all that. But
Greg
like,
Kelty and like whoever else is on that other flank, Greg Kelty and Conor McMenamin, they're two absolute dogs. And
yeah,
you've got either Barry Mackay just sauntering about, pissing in between the two of them. I don't
yeah.
think so.
Obviously, the other rumour is Harry Milne at Park Thistle, who I think out of everybody is like the best
Good player.
signing. Yeah,
Yeah,
like if
good
we were to
player.
actually do that.
Was playing for Cove, I think, a year or two ago, which
Yeah,
just
something like
shows a
that.
rapid rise, which is crazy.
I know
That's
he's in
that's
the position of our literal best player, but we currently don't have any cover for that
off
player.
you look. Yeah, because
Exactly.
Andre
Yeah.
Salazar is too busy samba dancing and
He'll
I
have
don't
his
know,
loan terminated in January.
which then makes you wonder what was the point?
No
Like,
idea.
what was
But
the point? He literally was seen for that Fur Park disaster
I didn't
class.
even see it because I was at Wembley at this show. So I've never seen the
You've never
guy.
seen him kick a ball.
Yeah.
You'll never. I'll never forget your back pass, Andres. It was great.
So, say we get those few in and another couple, right? Theoretically, we make five signings, there, three of them, whoever. On the spot, do we finish in the bottom two? And Critchley stays as manager. We don't sack him.
We could. We could.
Then that surely is a failure of a window.
What, the January or
Yeah.
no
Surely we should
guarantee?
be leaving this January
No
going, yep,
guarantee
we're
though, is
fine.
there?
That's absolutely true. I don't mean
So
that in the sense of like,
no, no. I know what you mean, but like my personal belief is that they're gonna have to spend bloody well and basically hit like these boys are gonna have to come in and hit the ground running for
yeah,
Hearts to immediately ascend up the league table, is my thinking. So that's that's a monumental effort for a couple players, never mind four or five.
yeah,
If we even get the four or five.
yeah, exactly. I'm currently looking, yeah,
It's,
right.
it's that it's that bad their start that if we steered to 10th, that should be considered a successful window
Right
and
now,
successful end to the season.
right now, we shouldn't be looking any higher than 10th. I think it's just now we need to just be going, what, and I don't mean until the end of the season, but I mean in the very immediate short term, next 45 games,
Yeah.
we should just be concerning ourselves, get to 10th and solidify that and then build.
You say that though, like the games that we've got coming up are tough.
Well, that perfectly segues on to the next two games. We will have two games before we come back to the first episode of the new year. We are at home to Motherwell on the 2nd, and we are away at Dundee United on the 5th. Dundee United today just beat Aberdeen as Aberdeen continue to just plummet down that table and try and allow anybody to catch up to third. And Motherwell have controversially drawn 2-2 with Rangers. Now, obviously, yes, we know what it's like to draw Rangers at home. So
You
it's
think it's a
not,
good result now, Motherwell?
yeah, it's not, maybe not going to have a massive bearing on how good you are, but we've just had these stereotypical, theoretical, easier games with Ross County and St Johnstone. Now we got 4 points. I know it sounds worse, but because we should have had six. But what are you thinking for, especially the Tynecastle game, and maybe more importantly, imagine we've not made any signings. What team are you playing?
For the Motherwell game.
Yeah,
Clark in goal.
right.
Back four of Penrice, Rolls because he's still going to be here.
Yep,
Oyugoke and Forrester.
yep.
Cammy Devlin will be back.
Yeah, he will.
Is Benny Beningame going to be fit? Probably not. Is there a need for two sitters at home? I would argue there is because of our defensive fragility. So
And
I'll
in
go.
fairness, Devlin's not been as much of a sitter under Critchley. He's been like an eight. He's been quite not box to box, but more energetic going forward than he ever has been before.
I would go Devlin, Boateng. I'd be really tempted to give Liam Boyce another run out ahead of those two in the
Because
10.
I
I
do
know
want to
that
mention that he was
he was excellent today.
fantastic today, and I was
He
so
really
happy.
was. As am I, because again, it was booed coming on in the derby. It's like that's not his
Which is
fault.
which is just an embarrassment, by the way. If you boo any
Uh,
Hearts player coming onto the park, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't understand that. Yes, you can be annoyed at the ongoing kind of situation. Yes, you could be annoyed that it is Liam Boyce that's coming on, but it's not Liam Boyce's fault that we didn't sign anybody else.
Yeah. What do you
Um,
want me to do?
so
Just go, nah, I'm not going to come on, actually.
so I'd give Boyce a go at 10. Spittle has to play on the left. On the right, I'm really torn because I don't think Musa Drama is a winger.
Hmm.
I'd be tempted to give Forrest a go because I think he and Forrester actually have combined quite well.
Right.
And then I'm going Wilson up front.
He has been. The irony is, right? I've not even. I think Wilson's all round game hasn't actually been as good as some of the hype around him is. But I'm like, I don't care because he knows how to score goals. So it's like, I don't give a shit. It's just keep scoring, James. Keep. It's
His
mad
header
that we're
today
just. His
is
goals were so
phenomenal.
good today. His
They're
goals were
two
so
great
good.
goals. I feel for him more than any of the other players because it's like
Same. We
he
should be
should
sat
be
here speaking about his double, and
100%.
he's got 5 goals in 15 games.
He should be taking home that back page and literally sticking it everywhere.
Yep,
Um, but
exactly.
now it's going to be about our collapse, our county collapse rather than his heroics. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's probably the 11 I'd go for. Why? Who are you thinking?
I'd play the exact same team with the exception I'd play Callum Sandilands
Okay,
because I'm like, I want to inject something different into the team.
I know.
I'd play
That's
narrow, so I'd drop
Forest.
Musa or Forrest, whoever you said. Yeah, I'd drop him and play like Boyce and Sandilands as like second strikers in behind Wilson.
I I'm resorting to type because I think it's like I think that selection today was essentially a back me or sack me.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I guess the thing that people will ask us is, so you'd not put Shankland back in?
No, based on what?
Yeah.
Can we talk about him actually? His conduct, I felt during the derby in particular, was nothing short of a disgrace.
I've
An
never seen him
absolute
that
disgrace.
angry ever in my life. I've never seen him that pissed off during the first half.
There was an instance in the first half where the ball goes out
And
behind the
he
goal
tans
and
it.
he boots it, he
Uh,
tans it up to the top of the Gorgie stand. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? What are you trying to
I
achieve
think
there?
he's
What
just
is the need for
frustrated.
that?
I think he's just frustrated.
Aren't we all? Imagine going to fucking watch that. You're on the park. You can do something about it. I
For
can't up in the
me,
stands. Neither can you.
for me, it wasn't so much his conduct in the derby because I was like, I don't really mind him being
Like I don't.
raging,
He's not arsed.
but
He's
my point was
gone
going to be,
mentally. He's checked out
my point was
long
going to
ago.
be, and I'm not the person normally who's like this, but I really was annoyed by his comments after the European game, where I know what he means, right?
It
Before I
was a
say anything
way of
else,
saying it.
I know what he means, where he's like, because I agree with his point that it's like it does nobody any favors to not support the team. I understand that that doesn't mean you should or shouldn't. I just mean I don't think personally, this is just my personal opinion, that it does any good just getting annoyed at the team. I will say, listen to this fucking show. I get annoyed at the team a lot, but I'm not one to boo at games. I'm not one to chant at our own players and stuff like that. But the way Shankland said it was as if he was like, why are they annoyed? And it's like, no, Shanks, I know why they're annoyed. It's just that I think they should maybe show it in a different way. You cannot stand there as captain and be like, oh, I just feel like they're waiting for us to make a mistake. It's like, mate, you've read the room.
The fans are the one true constant. They are the people that you turn on. They're the ones that should have your back. And I use should because again, I know what Hearts fans are like, us two
Yeah,
included.
yeah.
They should have your back through thick and thin. For him to turn around and then start having a go at us is fucking disrespectful. And it's an embarrassment that he's still wearing that captain's armband. Give it to somebody that fucking wants to be here. Give it to a James Penrice, or if we've got to go back to Craig Gordon, fine, like we did today. A Gordon, a Penrice, a Cammy Devlin, somebody that
Spell.
wants to be here, is grateful for the opportunity that Hearts have given. Let's not forget, if it wasn't for Hearts, he'd still be rotting in fucking Belgium. So
True,
just
but
show us a bit of fucking respect and
but
be grateful for the platform that we've given you. Yeah, you're going to abuse it. Yeah, you're going to go on and make more money. You're going to sign elsewhere. That's fine. I've got no qualms about that. But while you're at the football club, don't fucking disrespect the football club.
I will say though, that is a double-edged sword where it's like I don't agree that players should just be like, yep, whatever is said to us, we just have to accept. And second of all, whilst I have been extremely critical of Shankland this season, I do agree that there needs to be context with it where it's like we wouldn't have had the joy that we've had over the last 2 seasons without him. So it's
100%.
it's a double-edged sword where it's like I disagree. Personally, I don't think he disrespected the club. I think he just said stuff that he shouldn't have said. Like I don't know if I even agree that he's.
Ivor, his antics on the park just indicate that you don't want to be here. If you don't want to be here, then fuck off, because you're not helping anybody.
For me, it's more that he just seems like he has no confidence. There was 3 moments in the derby where it was like,
Oh
if
my
it was
God.
Shankland of the 24
The
months
last minute,
prior,
get your
yeah,
fucking shot away.
yeah, like
What?
to me, that just screams of a player out of confidence who doesn't trust himself. And I'm not going to say that that's wrong. I'm not going to say that he shouldn't feel like that. And I think that it's a real shame he feels like that and should have a support network around him. And I hope he does. But the other side of that coin is that that means that I'm not going to pick you for our game against Motherwell. I'd pick a guy who today came in from the relative cold and performed very, very well.
McIver, put it this way. The previous 2 seasons that Lauren Shankland had given us, if he said, right, I'm looking for a new challenge, and somebody comes in, he signs with somebody else, he thanks Hearts for his time, I've got no problem with you leaving. He had, I'm not going to say that he's going to undo the work of the 2 seasons, but
Nah, it's definitely not. It doesn't matter if he didn't score again.
but he's
He's not
beginning
doing
to
it.
sour the kind of relationship and kind of the viewpoint that we hold of him. If he leaves now, it's going to be on a bad note.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is just because I engage in football differently, but I'd be able to be like, oh yeah, the last 5 months weren't good, but you're still the best forward I've ever seen for us. So
I,
bad
I,
times don't last forever.
I,
I'll
I,
remember the good times more.
yeah, yeah. I wanted the signing, but it's like acknowledge that we've done brilliantly for you, just as you have for us.
I think he has. That's where we disagree. I think he
I
has.
don't think he. I don't think right now he is. I really
I
don't.
I just think he's a guy out of confidence. Personally, that doesn't mean I'd keep playing him, but I don't. I just don't agree that he's shown us disrespect or.
I do. I do. I think we need you now more than ever, and it's just like, oh well, can't really be arsed. Or
I think it's
like,
more
or
a lack of
been
confidence in
up.
in his own
We've
ability.
we've been unlucky as a team, so I'll just palm the blame on other people. It's like, well, you're the guy that we turned to last year, and you dug us out a hole. Why haven't you this year? I mean, have you seen the condition he's in?
See, that's another thing.
He looks like he's
How, by
eating.
the way,
He looks like
how?
he's eating your Christmas dinner, my Christmas dinner, and his Christmas dinner.
How the fuck, after the season that I've had with him, have I turned into Lawrence Shackwood defender at the turn here? Because
I don't know.
I think it's massively exaggerated how physically out of shape he looks. I look at him and go, you look like Lawrence Shankland has,
He's a
and
big boy
nobody.
though.
Yeah, but he was big when he was scoring 30 goals. Nobody gave a shit about it when he was catching pies and fucking scoring Rabonas. No one cared. But now that his goals have dried
No,
up,
he's put on a
then
bit more beef since then. He has.
I think maybe at the start of the season he had, but like in the last couple of weeks, I've looked at him and be like, you just look like Lawrence Shankland. You're just not doing anything. And that's what I mean. It's like he was abysmal in the derby and has been generally very, very poor this season. So I wouldn't have him for Motherwell. But a bigger point, maybe it's not a bigger
He's
point.
going to come
Maybe
back in for the Motherwell game, though, isn't he?
he definitely will.
And he's probably going to score the opening goal.
Yeah, and that's the
And
thing
then
where
I'll be eating humble pie just as he was eating that pie that was thrown at the stands.
and that's why it's like, and what I kind of meant at the start, where it's like, I just think it's really simple to say that this is a group of players that doesn't care and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't think it's as easy as that. I think it's a group of players who are currently going through a very bad mental block, and as soon as they have any form of issue, they then crumble. I'm not
But
saying
how?
it's
But
acceptable
how
or
can
that
you
we
look?
have to
But
accept it in any
how can
way.
you look so comfortable against St Mirren at Tynecastle, Dundee at Tynecastle, St Johnstone at Tynecastle. How can you look so comfortable and confident in these games, and in others, we just look as though like the carpet's been swept from under our feet?
Because I
Like,
think all those games have in common is that we started well and remained well. Players didn't make individual mistakes. Players knew what they were
it's
doing.
almost like somebody has been hammering home on this podcast about Hearts making a good
Yeah.
start in a game.
Also, bluntly, especially the St Johnstone game,
And in a fucking season.
fans stayed with them, especially in the St Johnstone game. Like in the 94th minute, the whole place was singing the Hearts song, like willing them on. It was
That's to get us
amazing.
over the line, though.
Yeah, but that's good. That's what a
Oh,
fucking crowd should do.
100%.
Whereas,
But it comes from it comes from what you see on the park
I
equally.
think I don't know if I
It's
necessarily agree with
it
that.
takes two to tango. It
Yeah,
does.
it does. But I think fans need to be leading that in terms of
Fully, yeah.
fans need to be like, right, this
Which is
might
probably
be
why
going shit.
I took the executive decision to stay away because I thought
Yeah.
I'm not going into this in the best frame of mind.
When we
I'm gonna
conceded
be
that penalty,
angry from the get-go.
when we conceded that penalty in Johnston, the whole stadium went, nah, we're not letting you drop here. We're going to keep staying with you. And I think it did help. That might be naive, that might be stupid, but at the same time, that's the whole fucking thing that we market ourselves on. That it's like Tynecastle, class, best fans in the world, and all that. So I
Best
think,
fans in the world.
oh, that shite that you fucking hear all the time, as if not every single football club has loyal fans. The important thing is, we do have a chance to fix all this. Will we do it in January? I don't know. We're in a very bad position, but finally, the final action of this podcast, I will put you on the spot again. What
Oh, Jesus.
points total will we get in the next two games before we come back?
Oh, so what's that? Motherwell at home, United away.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus. We're not getting more than four.
Agreed.
Oh, I think we'll get anywhere between 1 and 3.
A bit of a cop out answer, but I get you.
It is. All right, I'll give you a total then. I think we will get
Beg you
one.
say four
One.
after you
One.
said. Do you think we'll draw at home to Motherwell and get beat
Draw
at
against Motherwell
Tannadice?
and get beat at United.
I think that is exactly what will happen as well. So, when we come back,
Which again, Motherwell have just drawn with Rangers.
yeah, they are.
This is what I'm trying to work into this. Like, this is what I'm trying to get into people's heads. This is a terrible division. All it takes is a couple victories.
Hibs are nearly in the top six.
Exactly! Spirit are fucking fifth! A couple of weeks ago, we were 4 points away from them. Like, what are we doing here? St Mirren won 3 games on the bounce, and they went from 9th or 8th or whatever the hell it was to 5th.
Yeah. And then they got beat the day.
Like, get the finger out.
Well,
And we can go up this league. The season's practically a write-off anyway, but at least ensure that we're not going, like, stay away from this bloody basement battle. Get us to where we think we should be, or if we can't, if you fail that, just up somewhere.
10th.
I don't even give a 6th or 7th. I'll be delighted with.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't give a shit.
Right now, I'd be delighted with 10th because I'd be like, don't need to think about this season ever again. Can just enjoy my summer holidays and come back and be fine. The fucking irony,
God.
the absolute irony in all this is if we have a cup run. It would be hilarious. We've had a European run. Imagine if we have a cup run.
Do you know, I genuinely was thinking, as soon as we turned it around against Petrograd, I then was thinking, what's like a funny tweet that I could put out? And I thought about, has a team ever been relegated and won a European honour in the same season?
Yeah.
In Google, and I thought, I'll post that. And then the dicks.
No, we didn't. Listen, if Neil Critchley wants to win the Scottish Cup and get relegated, I'd happily take that. I'm putting that out there now because I'll take going to Morton for a Scottish Cup. That's fine with me. Don't you worry, lads.
And then off to Reuben Kazan in the midweek.
Exactly. That would be absolutely class. But no, don't worry. The hedge is going to put us out. But we will be back next week to discuss all the fallout from the two games that we've just spoken about. Hopefully, some new sign-ins, flashy new sign-ins. Love that. But if you have enjoyed this more rambly, ranty version of the Perth to Paisley podcast to close out the new year, please let us know on your podcast platform of choice. It massively helps us out. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you've been watching on YouTube. Perth to Paisley on all the socials. Perth to Paisley at gmail.com if you want to fire us over an email. Adam, where can they get you on all the socials?
This is bizarre because I've got nothing to link it to.
Yeah, you've got nothing. Yeah, exactly.
So,
We can't say.
you can find my intrusive thoughts, angry thoughts. I'd like to think sometimes funny thoughts, but most of
Yeah.
the time they're depressing thoughts. At Adam T Kendo.
A massive thank you for all the support we've had this year. It's been topsy-turvy in terms of hearts,
That's
but
one way of putting it.
it's been hugely appreciated. We hope you've been enjoying the show. It's always been helpful for us to make it, regardless of results, it can help either way. Can't wait for 2025. See you all there. But enjoy your new year, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.